Meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. We have a quorum. Do we have any citizens' comments? Anyone sign up to speak?
Nope.
All right. Before we go to the minutes, from the last meeting on the 28th.
We have to approve the minuets.
Is spelled wrong again?
I think I corrected the version online, but I may not have cut that.
All right. All right. I'll fix it. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the
I'll
minuets.
second. Problem is when you spell it right, it looks right. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't yell at me that it's spelled wrong because it's a minuet is a word. All right, so before us, we have Mr. Harris.
And I think we have Lizzie's on there too, right?
Lizzie as well.
Hi, yeah.
Lizzie Kreindler is here as well, yes. Okay,
All right.
good.
So this is our branding kickoff. We have Aaron Kelly will be joining us, but for now we have Mike Reed, Toby Coe, Josh Ray, and the esteemed Mr. J.R. Hedges.
J.R. Hedges. But forgive me, acting chair, I didn't hear a public safety report. Do you have a public safety report? Is everybody safe?
You.
Yes, everyone's safe.
Everyone is safe and doing a minuet at home, correct?
Right.
That's right.
I love it. I love it.
And I got my hooked on phonics coming in the next few days.
Yes. So, well, good. Good. Thank you.
So Lizzie, I took your instructions and I read your document, but I did not share it. So I guess you're just gonna walk through that tonight, right?
Yeah. When you say document, you mean the schedule?
No, the questions that you wanted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
we've got the questions. We'll ask you guys a bunch of questions. We'll look for a bunch of answers, but know that, yeah, we're here to ask you guys some questions so that it will inform us from in terms of developing the brand. So Lizzie and I will tag team. We'll take notes as part of this. So there's an overall project schedule. If you want us to share that with you tonight, we could put that on screen. And we could also talk about the rest of the process.
I did share that with you, right, Mike? The schedule for input from all the committees and.
I don't think so.
All right.
Maybe you did.
Go ahead and share it if you would, please. John.
Lizzie, do you have access to it? Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
What we did was we asked that this be the first meeting because this is your project and then they're going to be going to the BDC. And
I knew that.
a couple other.
I knew that part. I think that Josh was the one that told me that. I don't think I saw the schedule. But if you did send it to me, I will fully accept guilt for not reading.
No, I can share it now. Quick.
Okay.
In is walking Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, just don't touch it. You have it, Josh. Liz, Lizzie, let Josh share it, because if you share it, we won't be able to see you guys.
Oh, okay.
Let's put it up here in the room. Put it on here.
Oh, okay.
I can go over to figure we're all far apart.
I'm gonna say something. Which words are going here too.
It's snugly there.
Sometimes.
Okay, we're gonna put the schedule up here in the room. In a second now, it's up there now.
Yeah,
Lizzie?
Lizzie, could you just walk through it real quick, Lizzie?
Not that in the minuets.
Trustee Kelly, how are you?
Good.
Aaron, welcome to the Dow. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I noticed. You and who else? 3 companies came in.
I'm not sure she heard you.
She did.
Yeah, I don't know who the others were. I know he was proud that we knocked off Exxon.
That'd be good enough.
Yeah. That's big.
Because he's a big environmental.
Oh, really? Your CEO.
Yeah.
So is the schedule up on the screen? I can't see the screen.
You can't see it.
Yes, it's there.
It's there.
Okay, Lizzie, do you mind walking through it real fast and then we'll get into the questions?
Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, I'm having some issues with my sound, but I think we're okay. Let me know if you can't hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. So the project is kicking off and in the initial phases. Next week and the following, we'll conduct outreach and engagement. So in addition to this meeting, we'll do some one-on-ones and one-on-one interviews. The brand positioning recommendations will be presented the week of October 12th, and graphic identity concept selected the week of November 9th. We'll review the brand launch plan the week of November 9th and present applications and the brochure November and then early December for the brochure, with everything final mid-December before we break for the holidays, and ready to launch the week of January 11th. So we're kind of thinking everything's done by December 15th and we launch January 15th.
And the brand, as you guys know from our previous meetings and our proposal, will consist of a logo, a tagline, and overall positioning, right? Brand positioning, brand essence, key messages, all of those things. And what will happen as a result, and one of the things that we want to do as we move through this engagement process is, and forgive me, but I think it was Trustee Kelly who had raised it, is there, there's a Hampshire brand, but is there an overall community approach to this? So do other entities, adopt something, whether that's a color or a font or something to that effect? And do you mind going back, Lizzie, to the room, or who's controlling that? I'm seeing Lizzie, not the room, so I don't know who controls that.
I don't think I'm controlling that.
No, it wouldn't be you.
It's Josh, right?
I mean, I see the room.
There we are. Okay, good. Thank you.
I won't take offense.
She's the one talking. He's here.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. So what we want to do tonight is ask you a bunch of questions and run through these questions. And these are typical. We'll be asking really everybody the same questions. Some, there will be question, and then we'll ask you for examples. So we try to get people to not only give us an answer, but to probe for detail in these, so that we get some depth and some richness to the answer. So if you are ready, and we'll go one at a time, I'll let you decide who goes first. But our first question is a simple one, and that is, what makes Hampshire different or better than other communities? What?
Real quick question before we jump into the Q&A. We talk about final pieces, complete deliverables. I know we're talking about the brand, the motto, tagline, the color schemes, that type of aspect, but we also included in the quote actual artistic deliverables. Have those been decided or discussed as what you wanted?
It's been when.
You trailed off at the end there, but there are deliverables. There's a brochure and there's some other things, and we're still open to, I don't know that we finalized that list, but we're open to what some of those final deliverables might be.
As we go into the project, it's probably going to be a good idea to have that list of, here are the things that on December 14th we're going to have that can be used, whether that's a new Facebook homepage banner, the brochure, the X, Y, and Z's that are a result, just so that we're all not making assumptions of what the deliverable is.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll put that on one piece of paper and make sure that we send that around, and so that you guys can see it, but that it can be shared. Like you said, it's almost a pocket cheat sheet of what's gonna happen and what we're gonna deliver by no later, by December 15th.
Okay.
We were thinking of dropping big bags of money out of the sky, but if you want a brochure, that's fine.
I thought we were dropping the bags of money in your direction.
Oh, well, you are, and it's appreciated. Yes. So, all right. Can we go to questions now?
Second one. Tell me something out of here, I'll take the money.
So, questions, okay?
Fire away.
All right, you decide who goes first in this, but what makes Hampshire different or better?
Aaron
Toby
begins
would
with
like to
A,
go first.
so that's,
All right, Toby, you're first.
Age before beauty.
What makes Hampshire different or better, broadly?
more open land. We're not landlocked or built in, so we've got room to do anything.
Open land, so you have room to grow?
Correct.
Okay. Mike, do you want to go next?
No, I think Aaron should go next.
No, he asked you to go.
I think it's the community, it's the people. There's nowhere else like this on the planet. That's a fact. People of this town are what make it worth living in, that's for sure.
So explain, in what way?
Yeah, explain.
Explain.
So,
There's Mabel's here.
They're all on Facebook, so explain.
Yeah.
in time, it's kind of hard to put into words, but the feeling of getting to know the town and the fact that everybody is always willing to help out with any type of situation or problem. Yeah, to Aaron's point, there are some bad apples, but for the most part, this town is made up of a wonderful group of people. And they will give you the shirt off your back, or they're off their back in a minute, if it meant that they could help you out. And it comes together every time that there's any type of emergency, some type of bad storm, somebody's without power for long periods of time. And yeah, you have the people that complain, and yeah, you have the people that, that are never gonna love this town. But this place truly is like a slice of heaven, and it's the people that make the difference.
Okay. And I don't need you to answer it now, but it will be helpful to get some specific examples. So if you can think of, 3 examples of when people rallied, around each other in the community, whether it was a storm or, somebody in the public wasn't safe, for example, or somebody was in need of money or something, and people rallied around each other. So that would be helpful. Not now, don't need it now, but if you can come up with it, that'd be great. Trustee Kelly, what makes Hampshire better?
Trying to think better than what, right? To Toby's point, I see it a little differently than room to grow. I see it as we're kind of an island community surrounded by cornfields that really has allowed us to form an identity exclusive of any other neighboring community, right? It's when you're a Ravenswood or a suburb of Chicago, you are a suburb of Chicago. We're not. We're Hampshire. We have this unique identity as far as who we have, and I think part of that identity that is valuable is the long heritage that's here. We have families that still live in the area that are 5th generation that have lived in Hampshire that own the small businesses or the buildings around here that their parents have contributed. They tell you the history of the village. We haven't outgrown that, at least not yet. And I think that's an advantage, right? I don't know that you could say the same for Huntley anymore, or you could say that at all for Pingree. I mean, Pingree's got some heritage on the corner of 20 there where it started, but what people see as Pingree no longer is what it used to be. I think Hampshire still has that. I don't know how long we'll have that for, but we still do have that. That makes us unique. I mean, people move here because of that small town, close community on the heritage.
There are several roads within the community named after people or families that still are here, which is kind of a rare thing.
Yeah.
Might tell him the Panama story that we just learned last week.
So one of the streets, there was an award ceremony that Mike presented at, and we came to find out that the street in town Panama is named that because the woman who has given this award for 20 years, her dad was a developer on that street, or built the houses on that street. Not like a developer, he hired people, he built the houses on that street. And they had grown up living in the Panama Canal Zone where he helped build that. So to remember where they grew up, he named the street Panama. It's actually after the country of Panama, the Panama Canal Zone, which was interesting, right? You've got Baldwin, and that's after Dick Baldwin, who built 7 houses in that area with his own hands. I mean,
Well, like Bruce Burkos,
His whole family's name.
his whole family's named on that street, Kathy and James and all that.
right. And then you've got Bruce Ream, Seiler. I mean, all of our things are named after,
Getzelman.
yeah, Getzelman.
Walker.
Allen's.
So a lot of the naming of our streets are from families that are still living here.
Yeah, they're all still
Wow.
here. But the streets have been named that for what, 50 years?
Yeah.
Right, it's not a series of streets named after presidents, for example. It's people who lived in the community. And certainly in Chicago, you have streets from, a couple of hundred years ago, Kinsey, et cetera. These are streets named after people. But what you're saying is these are people that, it's 50 years ago, and those families are still in Hampshire or near Hampshire?
Yeah.
In Hampshire.
In Hampshire.
Yeah, okay.
And we do have the presidents downtown here, though.
Yeah, we do have some of that.
Yeah, we do have
Oh,
Washington.
understood. Yeah. Understood. But these are, you can literally, in Kinsey Street in Chicago, I doubt there's been a Kinsey in Chicago for 50 or 100 years, but you can point to these streets and the stories that go along with them and those families.
Mayor
Jefferson, Washington.
Jane Byrne.
We got to name, put that on your agenda.
What's that?
We got to be in a smart ass.
We got to rename some streets
Oh, okay.
because they're named after presidents.
That he finds to be,
Oh, those kind of presidents?
Just keep going, ignore them.
that's what I
Well,
said.
a friend of ours is director of innovation for the city of Columbus, Ohio, and I texted him, a few weeks ago and said, we'll be sending you a contract to rename Columbus, Ohio, and and he's like, oh my God, please, So, and then I thought, and when they declined, I thought we went after Columbus, Indiana. So maybe if there's enough Columbuses out there, we'll figure it out. So I joke.
Who's our director of innovation, Jim?
We don't have one of those yet.
Jay is.
Jane.
I prefer to be chief disruptive officer.
CDO.
Yep.
So we're going to ask you a series of questions too about why live here, why start or locate a business here, why visit too. So that's coming next. But Josh or Jay, are you going to play this game too? Or are you going to answer what makes it different or better?
Not tonight.
Okay.
Come on, we had to answer our questions in front of you.
Well, this is an input session just for the PR committee. That's
Okay.
the agenda calls.
Okay, great. So
Hold on.
I think you, sorry, go ahead.
We already had an input session with.
Okay, that's what I was asking
Every-
about.
Every Friday at 8:30, we meet with these guys for 30 minutes.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
No, that's on the agenda.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So some of you answered this a little bit, but I want to go a little deeper. Why would somebody live in Hampshire? Why would somebody move there? Obviously you're growing, but Aaron, you mentioned it, Huntley, growth, but sort of diffused or distributed growth. So is it losing its identity? Will it lose its identity? Pinger Grove, et cetera. So you are getting people to move there and you want people to move there, but what's the reason? And it might be beyond. So Mike, for example, you might say people, but I'm sure there are other reasons that you would think.
Centrally located. We're still far enough away from the city to be far enough away from the city. We're by busy roads that you can hop on to get into the city or go north to Wisconsin relatively quick. But we're still out in the sticks or the boonies. So you have that small town life.
Yeah, it's not a good it's not a good way to think of it from a business development standpoint, but we are a bedroom that people come home to, right? To Toby's point, we're that escape. We are close enough to allow for things, but far enough that you feel like you're disconnected when you're here. So I'll give you an example, a direct example. The house next door to me just sold. The neighbors just moved in this weekend. Found out they're from Elgin. We were talking to them as we were watching the hot air balloon land in the field behind us. And she said a comment that just made me think. She goes, you know, it was the weirdest thing. She's like, we lived in Elgin for 30 years. We move out here, and last night's the first time that I could go on my back porch and see stars.
Right.
I'm looking forward to just being able to relax outside and see the stars again. Now, I don't live out in farmland. I live in a subdivision, but it was still, that's only Elgin, which isn't that far away, but that's.
Your farmland right across the street from you.
Yeah, but I still have street lights and houses and ambient light. It's not like I'm in the middle of nowhere. And to Toby's point, they still feel, even though it was just Elgin they came from, they feel very disconnected from that big city. And they liked the fact that it was quiet, they could sit out, and they saw the stars.
I always tell everybody you're 20 minutes ready where you want to be. Because legitimately you're less than 20 minutes to getting on the highway. You're less than 20 minutes to Huntley, 20 minutes to Algonquin, 20 minutes to Elgin, 20 minutes to St. Charles, and it's a little bit of a stretch, but Belvedere is about 20 minutes away. I mean, really, you're what, 30 minutes away from Schaumburg, Arlington Heights, it's 45 or so.
22 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So that's my point. I mean, you're close enough to the major routes, but you're 20 minutes from anywhere you want to be.
See, the problem though is that's not a good message.
No.
If we want to grow our
No.
businesses.
No, but for like,
We're the destination you live at if you don't want to go here.
but so like my parents, when we moved out here in 2001, we looked all over the place for 2 years before they settled on Hampshire. And my dad and mom were working in Bensonville and Wooddale at the time. And Hampshire was the greatest location because they were right near the arterial arteries where they could get down to the city, as they would call it, or down into like O'Hare area where they worked. And then they could just jump on the tollway and they could get home, or they could take 72 and they could get home. And it was, I use that same example. My wife didn't want anything to do with Hampshire at all. She moved here from Sterling Heights, moved into Lake of the Hills, Algonquin area. That's where she wanted to stay. When we got married, I wanted to move out this way. And she was always against it because it was so far from everything. But it actually ended up being 5 minutes faster drive from her to go to her school in West Dundee here than it was in Lake of the Hills, which is actually closer.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a secondhand story. When I came out here for my interview last fall, I stopped at the local restaurant for dinner. And I sat next to a couple at the bar and I just asked him about Hampshire. And it turned out he was a pilot for Southwest and he was living in Denver, but he was going to be working out of O'Hare. So he said, I wanted to live as far away from O'Hare as I could get. It'd still be a reasonable drive. And I came to Hampshire and I fell in love with it. I'll stay here until my kids graduate from high school because his kids love the high school. We have talked about schools, but the schools here are phenomenal. And he said, so I'm going to stay here and raise my kids here until they graduate from high school. And then I'll probably go back to Denver or back to, I think it was Boulder was where he was from. So he literally could have moved anywhere in the country and he chose O'Hare and then chose Hampshire because of its proximity to O'Hare. For the quality of life he got in Hampshire, that's what he chose. Yeah.
Well, and that's an interesting point. Obviously, Boulder, there's sort of two things in Boulder. One is it's very liberal. Three things: liberal, college, but mountains. But his the way he would translate that is the open space aspect. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about Boulder is that even if you're in downtown Boulder, you're going to be out in the so-called sticks in 5 to 10 minutes. So I think there's an interesting parallel there, even for a pilot from Denver. So you mentioned school. So guys, just to go a little bit deeper here, again, why would people want to move there? Are the schools better than, say, Huntley or?
Absolutely. I'm a little biased.
No, every school employee should be fired.
We have state-of-the-art facilities. We have a pretty active school district board that stays up on things. They've partnered with the local community college. So our high school seniors now can actually graduate with a college degree and a high school degree at the same time. Hampshire is the first one in the state of Illinois that had a female welder
We had state.
win a state award.
Yeah, I will say the schools are very good. There are options as well, right? So within Hampshire, it's not just the public schools. If you're a family looking for a private religious-based school, that's available with the Catholic. You aren't far from local community colleges for those kids that may not want to move. So I'd say the programs are great. The other thing that, because we are a small community.
I'm sorry, but one of you has a lot of background noise. If you could mute your microphones when you're not speaking.
When things go back to a little bit more normal, it was often that you would see the Friday nights at the high school or any event at the high school would be packed with community people that don't even have kids going to those programs, but they were just there because they were friends of parents or knew the brother that had grown up or whatever, right? And they still supported that school event. So I think that's a unique thing we have here.
We have a lot of teachers that live in town that are active, that are at the parks, at different functions that the park district, school district put on. They have great interaction with the students because they're visible.
You're right. We do have a lot of teachers that live in Hampshire too. They may not all teach in Hampshire, but they're in the district and they all do live in Hampshire.
We've got 2 public elementary schools in Hampshire, soon to be 3, if everything goes right. And we have a middle school and a high school all within Hampshire, not counting the religious-based schools. And then there's a charter school option as well. We're about 20 minutes away from McHenry County College and then about 20 minutes away from,
A little further from MCC, but about 20 minutes from ECC.
20 minutes from Elgin Community and maybe 40 minutes away from MCC. And then you're what, 20 minutes, 25 minutes away from NIU?
And Judson.
Northern Illinois and a half hour from Judson University. So
there are a lot of, it was weird to me moving here from Southern California, but there are a lot of people that stay at home and go to local schools because they can commuters rather than live on campus, it was interesting to me, just different.
Yeah, and I think all of those schools, you mentioned the 2-year schools, obviously, but even Judson, Aurora, if you think of Rockford University, et cetera, there's a lot of commuters at those schools.
Yeah.
All right. So from a business standpoint, why would a business locate in Hampshire?
Well, one of the first things is that the village of Hampshire itself is easy to do business with. That's one of the things that we've tried to change in the last few years. We really tried to streamline
Now
things.
we are.
We really tried to streamline things to try to be easy to work with as far as opening a business, getting permits, going through the whole process. And we really strive hard. I'm not going to talk for Dave, but we really strive hard that if somebody were to come here and kick the tires, for lack of better terminology, we try to lay everything out in terms that they understand and that there's clear guidelines of what processes need to be followed in order to accomplish their goal.
we have ample room to build.
Yeah.
And we have ample room for housing, either existing homes or building homes for their workforces to come with them.
Yeah, if I were looking to invest and consider Hampshire, it would be because of the room to grow. The cost to build in Hampshire is less than other communities, closer to the city. Maybe not less than like a Pingree or somebody that doesn't do some of the impact fees and transition fees we do.
They are now.
But overall, it's a lower capital expense to be in Hampshire for what you get, the close proximity, in the same way to the residential, close proximity to major thoroughfares. So distribution networks, the ability to get to business travel if needed. From a B2C business standpoint, right now, Hampshire is good because there's not a lot of competition. And fortunately, and unfortunately at the same time, our median income of the residents within Hampshire is higher than most of the surrounding areas. And I said negative because it also disqualifies us for grants and other things. But people here can, in general, tend to afford things that a B2C business would find appealing than going into a community where you don't know how your target market is going to be. So I think there's B2C opportunity, lack of competition currently, but also a proximity market that can afford businesses. And then from a B2B or an industrial side, as Toby said, the room to grow and the lower cost to be able to get up and going for what you get.
So what businesses, if you were to stratify it, top, number one, number two, number three, what types of businesses are you working to attract?
Well, I always give the answer of anything that we can do to improve the quality of life for the people that live here. That in my book is always number one. However, reality sets in, and you have to understand, we have the land and space and buildings or shovel-ready properties for any type of business that wants to come here. And that's not even, I mean, you have, we have the tollway. Up by the tollway, we have a truck stop with a toll, with an interchange, a Cloverleaf, with no tolls. And we've got a lot of available property out that way for commercial industrial, but then you come, downtown here or even out on 72, we have the retail side of it.
Yeah, I think from a prioritization, it's easier for us right now to focus on industrial, commercial. The realized value to a business is more readily accessible. The retail, commercial side of it, while I think that's more needed in our community, when you're looking at rooftops, when you're looking at size of a community, it's a harder sell if there's not already a development going up. So I think, and Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's our focus has been industrial, commercial, and then the retail, commercial on the other side.
One thing, John, that just occurred to me, we shared with you at least one name of a business that's building right now in town. That was Karen Traska. But it just occurred to me, we have I was saying until about a month ago, we have over 500,000 square feet of industrial space under construction. Two of those buildings just finished, so we're down to about 250. But the Pet Ag facility, that's their headquarters building. They've been in town for a long time. They just built a 150,000 square foot facility, a new facility in town. So that's somebody to talk about why they chose to stay in town. They probably employ a couple hundred people up there now.
They actually relocated people from Kansas City. It was between us. It was between us and Kansas City, and they chose Hampshire.
And then we have the Truck Country just built a new facility up north where they're selling semis, and then a new transfer station for Dayton Freight. So these are all people that have made the decision to build in the last year and a half that are now building or almost finished.
We were actually.
I just want to mention I don't remember if you were here that night when we had a proposal from Mr. Gazzola, who's building what he calls a logistics park, 84-acre logistics park up by the tollway. And he described it as the fact that we're right between the two airports, 30 miles from Rockford Airport and roughly 30 miles to O'Hare Airport. And that's where the big Amazons and the FedExes and the UPS is flying to those two commercial airports. When I say commercial, I don't mean passenger, the freight airports. And that's why he thinks that we're literally right smack dab in the middle of those two airports. And for logistics purposes, he thinks the next big Amazon or the next big FedEx warehouse, that's what he's marketing. He has room for 1 million square feet in that park.
Bringing up Dayton Freight, we're actually outside of where they wanted to be. We're further out from the city than they wanted to be. But in looking at our location and working with us, they chose to build here versus closer to the city. They didn't want to go any further than Elgin. And they came up the road 15 miles to build in Hampshire.
Fantastic. And I was not at that meeting, so but thank you for bringing that up. So let's talk visitors and tourists for a minute. By the way, Toby, did you weigh in there on businesses? Forgive me if I skipped you.
I did first.
Okay. I can hear everybody, but I can't necessarily see your mouths moving. Sometimes it's the body movement or the particular
My hand.
voice. Right. So Mike was talking for a while and I thought it was Jay. And then I was thinking, wait, I thought Jay wasn't going to weigh in. And then I looked and I saw Mike moving. So I know we're larger than life on the screen, but you guys are a little smaller from this side. So let's talk tourists or visitors. And I realize we're in the middle of a pandemic, but what do you have to offer to people who might just want to drop in and visit in Hampshire? What's there to do?
I'll say.
Not a whole lot right now. We have some, they're trying, the BDC's been trying for 3 years to redevelop downtown into, quaint shops and stuff, but, basically we have restaurants and we're a halfway point to everything else.
We have a few key events over the course of the year that different organizations put on. I mean, that's kind of a draw.
Say one.
Well, the car show itself.
Oh, the car show.
Three, we have 3 events.
Yeah.
We have Coon Creek, the car show and the bazaar over at the school during the holidays.
Oh, the mistletoe market.
Yeah.
Which is now gonna be an outdoor market this year. We heard about that.
The mistletoe market? Well, you won't be seeing Santa there.
Well, we'll have you in a warm spot.
You complained that you were too hot the last few years.
You got your wish.
And I had to buy my own lunch.
And, we talked about seeing the stars.
I mean, let's just be honest, we're not a tourist destination.
We have a nice forest preserve.
We have places like if you want to get out of the city and you want to get into the country, we could advertise things like the Forest Preserve. You come out for a festival or for the car show draws a lot of people from around, but people aren't just coming here on the weekend to be a tourist.
But they should. We have magnificently groomed parks.
Dead grass.
Spoken by the guy who grooms them. And we also have some of the best road biking places in the whole Chicago area. And I've ridden in the whole Chicago area, and these roads out here are the best.
Yeah, there are a lot of bikers on the weekends, that I will say.
So if we had,
Bicyclers.
if we had some bed and breakfasts or even some Airbnbs, I've never seen an Airbnb advertised here, but if we did, I think people would come out here to spend a nice weekend to get away from things.
Yeah, I could see that, especially like a bed and breakfast.
That's what should happen.
And this,
Yeah,
this is important that we talk about tourism because how we're paying for this funding here.
Yeah,
We have great parks. We have a water park or a
Splash pad?
big splash pad.
that's like a water park.
We offer basketball, volleyball, pickleball,
Fishing,
fishing,
chain lanes,
chain plane, the ponds.
and it's Tyler. Come on, weren't you on that boat? Yeah, there's ponds back there, there's not.
Are there, is there, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm just thinking of fall activities, apple picking, corn mazes, hay rides. Is there anything either in the Hampshire village limits?
Gobert's Pumpkin Patch is a big draw for the Chicagoland area, and it's close to Hampshire, but it's actually in Pingree Grove.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking, right? It's not quite to Hampshire. Okay.
still from.
But we do have apple orchards all around us. They have to go through Hampshire to get to them. And Gobert's is the biggest pumpkin producer in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And they used to be Hampshire until Pingree Grove stole them.
Well, they didn't really steal.
Sure they did.
It's part of that negotiation right there.
Yeah.
So, and again, it may be not, the number one draw, tourism or visitors. But it could certainly be, how do we develop more of that? So back to your point, I mean, people are coming out for pumpkins and it's in Pingree Grove or orchards all around. How do you then connect the dots so that they come into for, maybe it's a Main Street festival once the streetscape is done, in conjunction with that. So you go get your pumpkin and you go to a downtown festival, or you just go eat and drink in Hampshire because it's got that quaint downtown, right? So you're going to the pumpkin patch and then where do we go? So this is something that we could think through and, work to develop. And Jay, your point is noted. I mean, part of this is how this is funded. So I think we should try and find out what can be developed, right? Or what story could be spun and what could be developed.
Yeah, and people who stay here can take advantage of things that are nearby. Aaron mentioned the balloon. I'm pretty sure I know that same balloon, because it's the only one kind of washed out, right?
Yep.
So we have a small airport up north where they give glider rides and hot air balloon rides. They do not do parachuting, right?
No.
Skydiving. But they do, that balloon flies over my house about 3 or 4 mornings a week. And one of these days I'm gonna get my kids to go out, bring my grandson out and do that. So yeah, there's a lot of little things nearby that may not be in the village, but could be part of a weekend package.
Yeah, exactly right. And that could be, like you said, that could be packaged up as Hampshire as the hub or the center point. What do you have B&Bs or do you have Airbnbs?
No.
Well, there's some Airbnbs, but it's more or less like a room or something, right?
Yeah, I have an Airbnb by me.
Do you?
Yeah, they rent out the bottom half of their house.
Our former village administrator rented the Airbnb for.
But no, we don't really have any official. We have a hotel out at the truck stop. That's it. But we have all kinds of little festival things on a normal season. We have music in the park. We had movie night a month or two ago. They have all kinds of little things through the park district. If we can get the park district and the chamber and the village to work all together, like Jay said, we can come up with some kind of coupon book.
Right.
Buy a drink, get a free drink, or something. But that would also help advertise the festivals or the little things we got going on.
And they do have, the park district does a really good job of doing events for kids and adults. Like they have the cup in hand kickball league. That's kind of a neat thing that they do. And then they're bringing in a mobile axe throwing truck next
Is that a
week.
red cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, solo cup.
Solo cup.
No alcohol allowed in the parks. They're all out there.
Yeah, and then they have like a mobile axe throwing truck that's coming on the 1st. We're gonna have a meeting, so we can't go, but maybe we could all go afterwards and throw
That's
axes.
a big deal right now,
The
right?
problem that we have is the park district is so on their own little island, that they could have bigger turnouts, bigger draws, better events if they were to incorporate some of the people in the village and the chamber.
Well, I think that's an area of opportunity for all the organizations. The chamber only works with us when they need a permit or they want our money.
Okay.
And the park district, kind of like you said, is on their own island. The township, we don't really work much with. The only time we all came together is when Jake brought everybody together for a COVID response team that met every day.
And honestly, yeah, every day for 2 months, but that group we still interact all the time.
Which if we can carry that through to normal business, then I think we start to do what you're talking about.
So you guys need to somehow figure out how to marry these three groups together a little better than what they're functioning at now.
At the staff level, we're coordinating a lot of things almost every day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I talked to Nancy at the library, the school board, Laura quite a bit, the chamber all the time, the park protection district. So at a staff level, we've become very close, I think, in the last few months. But at the board level, even though Aaron spent 10 years on the park district board, right? And Mike's wife is on the park district board, so there's a lot.
We're a lot better now than we were. Like there was, of my years on the park board, there was 8 of those 9 years where the village board hated the park board. Like it wasn't, we don't work together. It was, you shouldn't exist. So we're a lot better now than we were, and we'll get there. But when we talk about why people come to Hampshire, sometimes, and I'm glad Toby's bringing these things up, it's hard immediately to think beyond just what does the village put on or what does the chamber put on? But there is a lot that the park district puts on. Our township has a very active senior community and senior programming. Right, that's a huge draw.
They have bingo. They got buses that drive the seniors all over to grocery stores, doctor visits, that sort of thing.
And they reinvented themselves over the course of the pandemic because, you know, so many of these organizations can't hold bingo. So they have a weekly conference call and they do virtual bingo over the old fashioned telephone so that all the senior citizens can still play bingo every week. And then they still give out prizes, and then it might be like a roll of toilet paper, a box of Kleenex or something like that. But then the township will go and deliver it to the houses and stuff just to make people feel like, you know, they're part of the community.
That's great. That's great. Anything else you want to say on visitors? Okay. What's the most important thing that has happened in the past 5 years in Hampshire?
We hired Jay.
100%. And Toby got elected.
Well, that wasn't the 5 years, yes, and Toby's election.
The continual development of the truck stop area and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, the truck stop's gonna develop. We've had stuff close out there too, so that's hard for me. I honestly think that we've made more headway since Jay's been on.
Oh, definitely.
Helping out as a community than before he was here, so
One of those things is just about to happen. It's been 20 years since we had a new subdivision start construction, and we're gonna be starting the largest one ever in the next 90 days. That's a decision by the Crown Development Company to begin development of the Oakstead development, which will be ultimately 941 homes.
I feel like within the last 5 years, the village has really improved their communication with the residents. And I feel that we've tried to be an active part of this community rather than just trying to tell the community what direction it needs to go. I really feel that within the last 5 years, we've really made good strides in this organization. But I think if you look at other organizations, like at the park board and the library and the school board, I think everybody has become more active in the last 5 years. I don't, maybe because I'm young, but I don't remember seeing trustees or board members or whatever out at different functions all the time or trying to gather people's input on different things. I think the organizations here now care more about the residents. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I feel like they try to go out and actually be a part of the community.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say they care more.
We've got 3 ball diamonds that their park district's partner with Northwest Little League. They're gonna start holding major tournaments next year. Well, when we're COVID free next year. So that's gonna bring a lot of people to the community, if just for the day. But hopefully some of those people will go in, get a tank of gas, stop at the Dairy Queen, stop at the Chicken Dip, stop for a burger.
Weekend tournaments.
Yeah,
It'll be like
so
travel
they'll be
ball
here for
tournaments.
yeah, they'll be here for the weekends. So, yeah, the summer sports will be a big draw for more heads to town.
Yep. And going back to what you were saying about the village having improved communications, how do you think most residents learn about what's happening with the village?
Social media.
Years ago, we had a newspaper in town, and everybody always, when the newspaper folded, it was the Hampshire Register. When the newspaper folded because the Tribune bought them out or didn't get sold to the Courier or something like that, everybody lost their, mechanism to get news or what was going on, because everybody always said that everything felt more connected with the newspaper. And so now I guess social media is taking that place, good or bad.
Right, and Hampshire's not alone in that shift.
Social media, we do have a disconnect with seniors. Because they're not savvy with laptops and cell phones like, the younger crowd, but they're slowly getting on board. As they age, the family buys them cell phones in case they've fallen and can't get up. So they're starting to mess with their phones enough to become enough of a literate to get on the sites. But yeah, the seniors is the slowest group to bring around.
Mhm. You mentioned a few things that are significant that are about to happen in Hampshire, the subdivision or the tournaments, baseball tournaments. Is there anything else that you would add to that list that's most interesting or significant that's about to happen?
Well, along with the subdivision, there's going to be a school built.
Mhm.
We'll go from 2 elementary schools to 3 in the same community. Some towns don't even have 1.
Jay, what else is going on?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about industrial projects, commercial projects.
We've got some commercial projects, we've got strip malls that are getting ready to start. We've got some empty existing space in a mall that's about to get filled with a big company.
Is that happening?
I'm sorry. Oh, Ace Hardware went away.
It did.
Yeah, but we are talking to True Value now.
We've got a new hair salon opening up downtown. They're revitalizing that building across. the
Yeah,
street.
she's gonna have a nice salon over there. Well, one thing, that's,
Commercial development.
yeah, I was just thinking. It'll come back to me.
So we got things are moving. They're just
Oh, let me,
moving slow.
land ownership. We have, two families that own hundreds of acres in town. The Crown family who you know of, and then, Stanley Traska, who is one of his manufacturing facilities is here. And we're hoping that he'll move his headquarters from Carpentersville into the new spec building they just built. But he owns another 300 or 400 acres of land in town. He's become a real land speculator, both residential and commercial, as well as and industrial. And just today, he expressed some interest in the Rumpke Road site, 40 acres. So we have some real, we have a lot of people in town who maybe don't live in town, but a lot of people have invested in land in town, speculators, and who are now getting ready to develop, getting serious about development. I think had it not been for the pandemic, this would have been a much busier year for them. But instead, it's been a crazy busy year for building permits for all the little things people have been doing at home. They've been driving us crazy, but good for us and good for the village. But yeah, I think the fact that we have 2 really development-minded families that own a lot of land in town really makes it's a big part of our future. Is that streetscape? Yeah, and of course, the streetscape is coming up, so that'd be a big thing for us.
Right, streetscape, thank you, yeah. Mhm.
With a prospect date of about maybe Labor Day grand opening next year, a year from this week.
A year? Okay.
Yeah. We were hoping to be a lot earlier, but there's a lot of delays from the state of Illinois these days, so we're probably looking at Labor Day for a grand opening.
Okay, great. So what could be different or better in Hampshire? And again, this isn't necessarily something that's built into the brand, but just trying to get a sense of what could be different or better.
Do you see anything from where you're sitting?
Say again?
Replacing the 3 of us.
Well, no, I'm really thinking about the branding that we're looking at here, that really is the.
Oh, I thought you were talking about replacing us.
No, that's not what we're going on.
We said we like.
We're so close. We're right on the cusp. We get a few more rooftops, and some stores gonna come, whether it's a Jewel or a Walmart or a something. The rooftops drive the commercial end. And with this big development starting, this 900 homes, that will be a draw for commercial businesses to move in.
Yeah, I think some of the areas of opportunity that we have, especially in the established parts of town, just deal with infrastructure. And the infrastructure that directly affects our residents, especially highlighted now, would be things like access to high-speed internet options, some of those technological sides. I think that as a village board, and I know we have plans to get better at it, we're pretty antiquated in how we approach things. You know, I think Jay's figuring out how much can you change it in a realistic time frame. But, and it's gonna take a while. But if you look at us compared to our neighboring communities, we're pretty laggard when it comes to technology and processes and capabilities, being able to look up at your own information as a resident, things like that we need to get better at. And I think that's reflected throughout the whole community, right? We have an aged infrastructure. I mean, we are an old community that needs a refreshing.
I disagree with him. I think that Hampshire was pretty short-sighted in some of their land use plans in the past. In particular, you know, having all the residential on 72 the way that it is and the lack of commercial space along 72. I think that that's a problem. And I think that one of the other things that we really need to be considering is that we were talking about the largest subdivision that's going to start in the next 90 days. That subdivision is significantly closer to Huntley and what they offer as far as retail and that kind of stuff than what we would be able to offer them. So there's a subdivision across the street of Lakewood Crossing, and the majority of those residents go to Huntley for their needs. They don't really come into Hampshire much. So what do we do to try to attract them to come into town? Or how do we plan for having commercial retail or something of that nature out that direction?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it as a strength earlier. It's also an opportunity that we are so close to so many major towns that, like I said, people love to live here and go to sleep here. They're gonna shop elsewhere. They're gonna go out to dinner at many other places. I mean, food's not bad, but you can only eat at the Copper Barrel, Red Ox, and Rose Garden so many times before you're kind of tired of it, right? So we don't have a lot of options and variability for residents here, even though there is the opportunity for it. It just ends up causing us to truly be like a bedroom community that people go to, and I'm one of them. I go to Algonquin to go shop, or I'll go to Huntley or wherever because I'm not getting what I need.
I knew it was economy.
What's that?
I knew you were economy.
Basically.
And to that, you know, that kind of leads back into the infrastructure. If we have more of that to where we can increase revenues here at the village, whether it be by sales tax and our minuscule rate that we get, or property tax by growing more houses, I mean, then we're able to support the infrastructure and stuff and try to refresh. I mean, that's the conversation, the age-old conversation that we've always had. And it's not a part of the branding conversation of what do we do to increase revenues here at the village so that we can support our residents. I mean, it's all kind of encompassing.
Yeah, I hate taxes.
What do? You raise taxes and then people complain?
Well, you know, a lot of this industrial development, you say bedroom community, we do have a lot of employment here, so there, I don't know. It'd be interesting to know if those people live in town or not. It seems like, what's that? Thank you. But one thing I do struggle with is I struggle to see the big box stores here, the big shopping centers, because we don't have the arterials. You know, 47 is maybe someday, I'm not sure that's ever.
I also don't think the residents want them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. No, we do lose the sales tax, but what I started to say earlier, John and Lizzie, is, you know, we have Block's grocery store. It's a family-owned store. It's a local store. A lot of people shop here.
Yep.
But we have like the local version of and hopefully someday we're gonna have another hardware store. We used to have one. That's what I think is part of the charm is we don't have a Walmart across the street. We don't have a Home Depot down the street, but we can get there in 15 minutes somewhere else. And I'm not sure that certainly that hurts our sales tax revenue, but if we can build an industrial tax base and continue with income tax, which is a big factor too. But with new rooftops.
Our community is set up for more of a strip mall type community than, like Jay's saying, the big box stores. And that will, anybody that builds a strip mall will strive tremendously.
Yeah, I think anytime, if there was ever an announcement that Walmart was gonna be building a new super center here in town, we'd probably have the biggest turnout of residents at our meeting to lynch us.
That's probably true.
you know, it's interesting to watch the social chats that people like the convenience, and 10 to 15 minutes is convenient, but they don't want it in their backyard, right? They want that mom and pop store, that chef owned restaurant. They want those type of things, but they don't want Target across the street.
And the point can be proven, like, you know, Blocks for many years was owned by the Sester family, which was fantastic, but during the last 2 years of his ownership, the stores kind of fell into disrepair and the inventory wasn't checked as much as it used to.
It was a dump.
It was a
Okay,
dump.
all right, so we'll just call it what it is. It turned into a dump. And then the new family, the new family purchased it, put some money into it, cleaned it up, put new lights in it, and they hound over the inventory, changed out the options. It's not the same old stuff all the time, you know.
And they're competitive with their prices.
And they're competitive with their prices, but the biggest thing is that they changed their hours. So now, because they realize that the same thing we're talking about, that most people work in other places, so they had to be open longer. And now they have better business, because when you come home from work at 5 o'clock, you don't have to get to Blocks by 6:30 or 7 o'clock. You can have dinner, and then you can go after dinner. If you put the kids to sleep and still pick up what you need to take. I mean, that seems to make everybody happy. But I'm with Aaron. I think a Walmart would be a disaster. Although
I'm not saying I think that, I'm saying we would be lynched.
Yeah, we're a strip mall community.
Yeah. And even then, maybe Starbucks would be accepted. But like even the stores in that strip mall, they're gonna want them to be like things you can't find elsewhere, and small businesses and a laundromat, right? They're not gonna want, I think an Ace Hardware or a True Value or some kind of hardware, everybody's gonna want, because they haven't had it in a long time. But yeah, you're right, they don't want those, you know.
It's the lack of, we don't have the traffic jams that you have on 47, especially in the room where all the big boxes are.
You can still ride, and my wife and I do this, we can ride our bicycle across 72 because there's enough breaks in the traffic that you don't feel unsafe or need a crosswalk. And we can go right across on, what is that? Prairie View?
Prairie View Parkway.
yes.
Prairie View, we can cross. And it's not a big deal because we're still not, I would never do that on 47 in Huntley. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There's no way.
The Randall Road where all the big boxes are.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I want to do a time check, make sure you guys are okay. We got a few more questions here.
I'm good. You're good. You good?
Okay.
No. Are you good?
Yeah, we're good. All right. So let's turn to the goals for branding. And some of this, obviously, we talked about in our interviews together. So, but since we're all here and since we're going on this, what would you guys like to see? What does success look like in branding Hampshire?
You do branding for a living.
I know, I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours.
Get started. Let the wheels crank a little bit here.
Continuity.
Yeah, I want to see continuity between the different organizations, one community feel, a positive and revived color scheme. I think that the mustard, orange, it's not even the damn high school colors. I don't know who chose them.
I don't know, but this room was professionally painted.
Yeah.
It was brown paneling with cigar stains on it.
And orange carpet.
So, you know, something that is,
Yeah,
if you
professionals.
think about resurrection, not that we've been down in the dumps, but think about, you know, a sunrise or, you know, a soft energy coming up, right?
Grow back better.
What's that?
Grow back better.
Yeah, grow back, I
Build
guess.
back better.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like we don't want to lose, I want to lose these colors, all this crap, but we don't want to lose that heritage and that family feel and that close-knit community. So celebrate that, but still have it be something that feels fresh and new.
I want to emphasize working together to move the community forward in some way. I'm not talking like working together, just, you know, as a board, all the other organizations, working with the community and really trying to get that feeling of openness and togetherness and understanding and that kind of situation, because for so long it was so closed off. I mean, Aaron.
In a way, it still is though. All the organizations try to do things on their own. It's never worked. It still isn't working, but they all still just can't get that in their mind.
Yeah, I think though, if we need to take it out of our organization's view and look at it from the community view, and I think it does happen there. So I point to, I think it's his sister at Rose Garden. And so the sister of the owner of the Rose Garden restaurant picks people at random throughout the community that do things for the community, and she just shows up with breakfast for them at their doorstep. And then she's got like a Facebook page now where she'll take a picture to celebrate, tell their story and who they are and the member of the community.
They're the famous person of the day.
Right. And she just started it because things are hard right now and she wanted to brighten somebody's day. So she showed up with breakfast. Toby was one of them. And it was, that kind of stuff happens with our community members in initiating it themselves. Nate and Megan are on the board for the park board, but they didn't do it as a part of the park board. They started the birthday parades for kids, and every Saturday they ended up, one time there was 175 cars.
We did the parades long before any other community even thought of it.
Like we were on this a month and a half in, and we started to see it on news for larger communities, and we're like, well, that's cute. We have to do a special Google map to follow to make sure that we don't back a street up.
Yeah. We had tow trucks and radio stations and all kinds of.
But that's that community feel I think we talk about. As organizations, we suck as a community in working together at a board level. At a staff level, they've gotten better. At a board level, we suck. But take politics and organizations out of it, as a community, for the most part, this is everybody's family. If you see somebody that needs something, people, to Mike's point, people will just step up and help.
They don't even have to know you. And that's those are your two examples. There's two of your three examples, by the way, the birthday parade and then what Anna's doing.
We go for walks in the evening with my son, and I don't know how many people in our neighborhood are sitting in lawn chairs out in their front driveways or out on their front porch, and they just kind of wave and say hi, and they're.
That's something I've noticed as I moved out here, John. People don't sit in their backyards, they sit in their driveways with their lawn chairs and stuff because they want to see what's going on and they want to talk to the people that walk by.
Yeah.
Something that you were talking about, the branding, when you look at the sign on the wall, the proud past, promising future, I think that those words capture what we want to say, but it needs to be a renewed version of that.
Yes.
And at least maybe the proud past is in that font, but the promising future should be a much more contemporary font. I mean, that sort of says.
Those were bought at Michael's.
No, I know that, and I know it was a what does Michael's do? Hobby.
Yeah,
Project, right? So my point is that looks like we're saying it, but we're still stuck in the past because the font is still the past. So I think just something that says something similar. I've told this story here, Meg's told you that. 30 years ago, we were looking for a project, something that the first Build Illinois, now it's Rebuild Illinois, the new infrastructure. But the logo was a picture of Abraham Lincoln. He was standing on a Lincoln log, but the Lincoln log turned into an I-beam in the front. So that's to me, that really represented bringing the past into the future. So
Get Samuel Well behind you.
yeah, who I Googled and you can't find him on Google. I don't get.
So I said a different town, we were talking streetscape earlier, but if I were to talk about like who the people in our community are, and this was in regards to what our streetscape would look like, but I still think it's adequate. If I were to compare us to like a fictional town that exists, I feel like we're Bedford Falls.
Mayberry RFD.
Mayberry, Bedford Falls. Everybody is there to help everybody out. You've got, of course, your kind of outliers and people that are just going to be grumpy in life because they're grumpy in life. But for the most part, this community, like, because families have lived here so long, I am not considered a townie, and I've lived here for almost 15 years. My wife is, and that's because she grew up here. Her parents went to the same high school. Her grandparents and great aunts and uncles went to the high school. I mean, you grow up to get to know people and their kids and their kids' kids, that I think that's why you have that community feel there. Is that even in the newer subdivisions where people are moving in from Schaumburg's and other places, and they don't have that long connection, all of their families are still involved in community events and community things. Where you can drive through Tuscany Woods, like, I go by and stalk Toby's house just for fun, and I continue out to Tuscany Woods.
So the other.
Families are out playing and talking and walking, and, I mean, it's a
safe community to do that.
I mean, when the big explosion on Facebook about crime is that somebody's car got broken into, okay with that right now. Not okay somebody's car got broken into, but that was the big crime you talked about.
Yeah.
And 9 out of,
Mine.
the car was broken into, we have to preface this, because the owner
Left it on.
left it unlocked.
Guilty.
And we know people that live in this town that don't even lock their doors.
I don't have a key for my house.
Because your wife took it from you.
No,
I'll give you his address if you're wondering where you can get free stuff. There's a comfy lazy boy there you can take.
yeah, but a 91-year-old lady strapped to her. She goes part of it.
I don't know why they took her.
So, so I think you've also covered, oh, by the way, I want to go back. Somebody said you were talking about the Rose Garden and and the food, and somebody said that's 2 out of the 3 examples, but what was the other one? I missed that.
The birthday parades.
Birthday parades, okay, thank you.
Yeah, they went on for 3 months, 2 months.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, there were
Hundreds and hundreds of cars.
Yeah,
In these parades, it was wild.
the village participated by having the police department block roads. They had public works trucks in it. The park district was involved. They used the parades to also do things like raise money and food for the local food bank. That same group raised more money for that food bank than they said they've ever raised in the history of their existence.
People bring right to the parade.
Yeah.
Right in the parade.
Yeah, they had a trailer. People would run from their house during the birthday parade to drop a sack of food in a time when you couldn't get groceries at the store.
I got thrown stale candy.
Okay, so I think you covered a little bit of this, but I'm just going to ask the question to make sure and see if there's anything else to bring forward here. But what would you like the brand to communicate? In other words, somebody sees the brand, and whether it's colors or typography or the words, the tagline.
Perfect. The state had a picture of Abraham Lincoln on a log, and the front half was a steel I-beam. That's some kind of conceptual thought of how Hampshire was in the past being brought into the future.
Yeah. We have a long history and a great potential future.
So one of the things that everybody always says is they don't want Hampshire to change. Everybody always says that they want Hampshire to remain Hampshire. But then when you look at Hampshire's history, you see that we're nowhere near where Hampshire used to be. Hampshire used to have a play school factory here, and we used to make all the world's Lincoln logs. We used to have Borden's milk factory here and be the largest milk producing community in the state. And we used to have clothing stores downtown. We had a pharmacy downtown. We had 2 grocery stores and a jewelry store. They used to show movies about Palazzolos. And so we had the German POW camp, to Aaron's point. We had a German POW camp here. We had a Ford dealer and a Chrysler dealer and implement store. And if you look at where we are now,
We've came a long way,
it's,
but we've maintained, like Aaron said, we've maintained that small town charm all along.
but I seem to think that, there's a certain amount of, okay, we have a promising future and we're going to look to the future. We need to embrace the past. What did we do back then that it worked? Everybody wants to blame West Dundee and Spring Hill Mall, and then they blame Walmart, and then they blame Amazon. We had a bunch of stuff here at one time. When I was a kid, we had 2 hardware stores, and now we don't have any. And so I think that while you have to look to the future, You gotta learn from your past.
Maybe part of the branding, and Aaron would know this better than me. When you're branding us into the future, we definitely need to somehow make people aware of the past, where we were, what we were doing, where we've come.
Yeah, because I don't know that I would say we're better than we used to be.
Different,
We're just different.
but we maintain that small town charm
Yeah.
that everybody wants.
While businesses come and go and focuses and opportunities come and go, the consistency has been the community.
Our advantage is we've got open land. We have a lot of available home sites. So some big company wants to move here. Most of the time they give per diems or move their employees. We have the room to do it. And we have the small town charm. And it's still access to every major thoroughfare and 30 miles from each airport. So we're right in the middle.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I think when you're talking about the brand, what do we want somebody to feel? For me, I want somebody to feel inquisitive, to want to learn more about who Hampshire was and excited to be a part of where Hampshire's going.
Great, that's great, thank you. How would it be useful to get other community entities involved?
And I think you guys talked about that a little bit. We just want to confirm it that, you know, to the extent that we could get the schools, the library, the chamber, et cetera, involved in this. So I think that's something we might need some guidance on from you guys in terms of, you know, how you might want to approach it and how far, you know, we go with this. So, and I'll give you an example. In Freeport, Illinois, when we developed a marketing campaign for Freeport, we went to the various entities and presented, you know, presented to the boards and asked questions of those boards. So, but again, I think this idea of a, you know, and you know, on the front end, or it could be, hey, we in Hampshire are doing this, and you know, as we're doing it, we'd like to see if there are ways that you could plug in and be part of this and what we're trying to achieve.
I thought when we scoped the project, we scoped it with the understanding that the chamber was to be included and the park district was to be included.
I think these guys were gonna go to them
Right.
and let them either come on board or get out of the way.
Right, absolutely.
So you have to brand us a little bit prior to going to those organizations so they can see a little bit of what you're doing to wet their whistle.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think the goal, at least when we talked, was have the unification of the organizations behind it, or at least give them the opportunity to be a part of it.
So do you need a list of organizations that we would like, or that are in the area, that are in that community that need to be included? Or?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're hitting the right organizations at the time. The chamber, I think, is easy. Obviously, we've met the executive director, and after our presentation of the last board meeting, she sent a note and we've corresponded. So I think that's one there where there's, typically there's, buy-in there on some level. And of course that happened in Charlevoix, Michigan, and has happened in other places. And I think the park district is also interesting. The school districts, as you guys know, I mean, are just could and should make an attempt. But I don't see a school with a school mascot, for example, changing its logo to whatever the Village of Hampshire did. But there can be some level of commonality.
Our school board likes to act on their own, so good luck with that one. But
yeah, that's what I mean. I think I get that, right? So, but they should be aware of what the village is doing and figure out how they might be able to do it. And it may end up being at a board level or a staff level. We work a lot with communications people at different school districts. So it flies under the radar a little bit versus, up at the board level.
The other one to include would be the township, because the township, we're the only township in the whole surrounding area that does anything for senior citizens. We only, and if a family's gonna move here, or a business is gonna move here, and they have a young workforce, that township is a key component, because the young people are gonna move here and follow the company they're working for, and the potential to drag their grandparents or their parents with them and actually have something for them to do is another big component.
So just off the top of the cup here, I've got the Fire Protection District, Police Department, which is under our umbrella anyhow.
Fire Protection District, you can ask them, thank them.
No, but just for them to even talk to.
Oh, yeah, they're on their own.
No, I understand, but if we're including everybody, they can at least be aware and contribute, right? Now, the Park District, the Township, Ella Johnson Memorial Library, District 300 and the Chambers. Did I miss any?
You're gonna add some, so I thought you were trying to stuff.
I was just, actually, what I was gonna say is follow up on what Mike said. John, we really never talked about an input session or any kind of presentation to those groups. But we're due to have one of our, as I mentioned before, we have these daily COVID preparedness conferences every single day, and then once a week, and then once a month. But we haven't had one in about a month, and that group is, I think they're I think they would all enjoy getting together again, and this would be a really good reason to do that.
Right, okay.
Normally met on Wednesday mornings at 9 o'clock. The last meetings were at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning, so if we can pick a date, I can arrange a meeting, we can send some information ahead so they're somewhat prepared. But I think they need some sort of presentation rather than just a conversation like this. They need to know who you guys are and what your resume is so that they know this is real and kind of what our project is. And so I would suggest that we do that on an upcoming Wednesday, whatever works in the schedule. And we can devote an hour. Those meetings, I'd like to keep them under an hour. But I think I can get the executive director of all the organizations that Mike and Toby just mentioned. And then we can get their input. The chamber would be involved in that. And we would have all of the top staff people.
Great. That sounds good. Okay.
And at that point, we can find out if how many of them are interested in a buy-in of any kind of branding with us, or at least be aware of what we're doing.
Right.
It'd be a buy-in if it's free.
Pardon me?
It'll be a buy-in for those organizations if it's free.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, the library, the school district, the township, all of them have asked us, the park district, they've all asked us for something lately. I think they're not broke. Obviously, the chamber's broke, but I think those organizations are ready to buy into with the village at this point.
Okay, great. That's great to hear. Okay.
Obviously, what I learned tonight for the first time is we have some former bad blood among the elected officials on all these groups, but.
All those officials are now not on either.
Okay, so maybe what we could, and the chamber's doing a great job. Jeannie's already.
Man, here.
Oh, wow.
Jeannie's already had 2 mixer events, a nice breakfast, which I think 6 of our 7, maybe all the board was there. So Jeannie's doing a really good job of doing some of that networking within the community. If we build on that, I think we can get some of these elected officials more in touch with each other.
All right, sounds good. So Jay and Josh, maybe that subject can be one of the topics for our Friday morning meeting as to, what to do and how to do it and when to do it.
Good.
All right. I know I just want to ask the quote competition question, right? And you can look at it in one of 2 ways or both ways. And that is, with whom do you compete? Huntley, Pingree Grove, Elgin, whatever, or who, who's out there that you kind of look to that is doing something that is good, right? And this is not that we're going to go run and do everything that they're doing, but we just want to get a sense for who you think you're either competing with or who's got it going on that you're looking to and going, gosh, that's a great model for us to look at in terms of what we're trying to do.
I can tell you the competition in this area is Finger Grove, and I'll do anything to put them in the ground.
And we always win.
They are some really, as far as like elected officials and like the way that they operate on the staff level and stuff, they're just awful people, in my opinion. Plain and simple, in my opinion, they tried to steal our services and steal our library, and it's always been, it's been this way, but it's gotten really bad in the last 5 years, so, I've gone on record saying I don't like them and I don't care if they know it. So, but that bad being outside of it, not, because the average everyday homeowner or resident or whatever, they're gonna look and find out where they can get the biggest bang for their buck and what, you know, what services are offered and that kind of thing. And I gotta tell you, people in my age bracket, the millennials, it's all about the Benjamins. It's the biggest house they can get on the smallest piece of property they can get, so they can show it off to all their friends on Instagram. It's really, that's really what it comes down to. They don't really put much stock into schools and grocery stores or whatever, because they're just gonna get in their car and drive back to where they came from to go to the stores that they wanna go to. So, you know, as far as competition goes, we fight for the business side of it. I don't really think that we fight as far as like residents, that kind of thing, because up until 2 years ago, we really weren't building homes and Pingree was. I mean, that's what it is. And now we're building homes over on Fayellen, and so people are moving in. And then we're gonna be building another subdivision up 90, or up close to 90 by Lakewood. And there's gonna be a school there, right? So anybody that's looking to move, they're gonna say, oh, well, there's a neighborhood school, and that's a big draw. But I think we fight more for the businesses. I mean,
Well, when it comes to manufacturing, Huntley is our competition because they have the tollway, they're closer in. But it's moving our way now. You and I met with Randy, the guy from Interstate Development Company. He acknowledged that. So.
what do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I think for homes, it was Pingree. I think they're gonna run out of space soon, but they were smart and dumb at the same time in that they didn't have any fees, so it's cheaper for a developer to build there. However, because they didn't have any fees, they can't afford to pay for police or other necessities, and they lose things like new schools being built. That being said, I still think that they're competition when it comes to residential development as well as strip mall development. We've lost, because of annexations, 47 cuts right through their territory. That's where a lot of development goes. To Jay's point, Huntley is a big draw for commercial businesses and industrial as well, especially along the south side of Sun City when they start building more of that out and the economy comes
Well,
back.
and Weber's got 1 million square feet of that.
Yeah, they have two facilities there. They just built a new one and they just demolished them all where they could build industrial. So those are absolutely our two.
Well,
The interesting thing is I don't see Marengo as, and they're almost just as close.
It's coming though, because they just got that big $26 million grant.
Again, they got the interchange completed.
Oh yeah, 23 just got done there.
We don't have anything, to Toby's point, he brought up earlier about all the good things that the township does. We don't have anywhere for our aging community to go. You know, we have residents that have been here for generations and they get old and they gotta move elsewhere.
Well, I remember 4 years ago, some guy wanted to build a Del Webb type community. But we couldn't do it because we didn't have the sewer water hookup.
Right.
Because truck stop. And there was another one that was gonna go over here by the marathon. And those got kicked to the curb.
We don't have anywhere for our senior citizens to go. I mean, people relocate from Maryland and move to Huntley. And, I don't know, tell the newspapers that it happened.
So let me ask, in your setup of these different communities that you guys do, is the key to bring in the younger group in hopes the older folks follow them, or vice versa on the residential side? You're muted.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. It's both really. And, you know, we are an aging society, so you don't want to ignore or forget or lose those people who currently live there. So the concept of aging in place is really an important one. And you guys just mentioned it, you know, for Hampshire folks, aging in place could be Del Webb, and it's just right up the road. I mean, that is 10, 15 minutes. So that's an easy one. But
that's a massive community.
Right.
Do older folks want to move to Del Webb? Jay?
Yeah, there's a lot of us there.
Okay, I mean, or should we be going after a Del Webb type community here now to get them started thinking their way before the younger group?
You know, Cambridge has their adult activists.
Carolina, whatever that's
Carolina. So we're surrounded by two big ones. It seems to me like that market's kind of been taken.
But you go to Del Webb and it's quite, I worked at Del Webb, but it was a cornfield. It's such a massive community. Granted, there's so much stuff to do there.
Yeah, there's just great recreational stuff. You know, there's a softball league with 75 teams in it, and you know, the pickleball courts are full every day, even during the pandemic.
Have you been to the woodworking shop?
It just opened up this week for the first time, and they're not accepting new members yet. There's also a huge train. There's just a lot of stuff to do for seniors there, and I don't take advantage of that because I'm working. A lot of people up there retired, but yeah, there's a lot to do in that community.
So that's something that I think the BDC or some commission needs to look
Keep in
at.
mind that Crown has some adult community houses, not restricted, but they're building some homes similar to what's in Del Webb. That's in the proposal. There's about 60 homes, I think, in there. It'll be smaller and
Taking it.
designed for that.
So I guess I brought up the senior citizens and the aging and that because I don't want our brand to be too modern that it scares anybody away.
We're talking about competition now. That's what the topic is. So I think it's competition for housing is primarily Ingrid Grove. Competition for industrial is Nutley. The competition for retail is just rooftops. When we get rooftops, the retail will come.
Pretty much every surrounding community is our competition.
Except for Burlington.
We're it's no count. It's a bug on the windshield. We're on the cusp of everything.
Right. And by the way, just to answer your senior versus young people question briefly, it all comes back to goals. It all comes back to what you guys as a community are looking to do in terms of growth and school districts, obviously projections on young people and young families. But from an aging in place standpoint, again, you've got the 800-pound gorilla of Del Webb up the road. You're not going to build another Del Webb in Hampshire anytime soon. So you'd have to look at what it is that you're lacking, what it is that people want, and what could be built there with the level of community interaction and elements that might work. In other words, what's a little different. So whether that's, and I'm not suggesting these per se, but on one end, tiny homes, if you will, or, small homes, ranch grouped with some sort of community center, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20 types of units, and clearly mixed use. I mean, particularly in more of the collar counties and college towns, those who are aging in place are moving to places like Kent, Ohio, believe it or not, because there's a college there, or because they could get a condo or a townhome without any maintenance, and they live above the store, so to speak, and they could walk down the street to go to a bar or a restaurant or a festival or whatever. So there's a lot of things happening in different places. We'd have to have a full conversation about the aging in place end of things, and then also the how to attract families. But the short answer is you definitely need both as you're moving forward. You want to retain those seniors, give them an option to age in place in your community, so you maintain that continuity. And then you want to keep new people moving into the community and feeding into that school system and coming up, new leaders, more money, all of those things.
So that whole gamut would be part of the marketing. We definitely don't want to go after just the young people when some of these, like guys in this room that are getting up there in age, we want to drag them along with us.
Yeah, and I think, some of those discussions happen at the board level, at the staff level, at the BDC level, at, your committee level. Certainly the school district is looking at things and projections, but yeah, you're right. I mean, what is it that you want to do? And then how do we go market it? And the last thing I'll say, and then we can wrap up here shortly, is you from a marketing standpoint, you definitely want to raise awareness. You want to educate people, and you want to get them interested and excited. And that's been touched on, earlier this evening. But certainly trial. So it does come back to that idea of, tourists, right? You need to get people out there so they go, oh, I know where Hampshire is. Oh, I know what Hampshire is all about. And we had a good time in Hampshire. And what we like about it is some of the things that you guys talked about. 20 minutes from anywhere, get into the, road biking, into the cornfields or whatever those advantages might be, the downtown with the streetscape and, sort of the Main Street America type of thing and the values that you guys talked about. So, so certainly, visitors, and I'm not going to say tourism, but just getting more people to visit, again, gets you in a position to, and again, the rooftops, I mean, it's going to be huge, right? So the rooftops are going to bring people and trying to bring people in for some trial as well. So that's all part of the brand, but also the marketing. So are there any other competitors, anybody else you looked at? And I think you guys characterized it well. I think on the Pingree Grove, Huntley, and then Jay, you said it well on retail. It is about rooftops. Anything else on that? Okay.
I think that after the homes start and those two strip malls start, I think that 72 will get assaulted. 72 will be the next Randall Road or the next 47 in Huntley.
Well, and they just sold the farm behind where I live, so I don't know what they're gonna develop there, if it's housing
On the north side of 72?
on the south side of 72.
Really?
The board will just have to be more cognizant of what they're gonna allow. At some point in time, we're gonna have to, these pig farms that are being sold or that are close, 72, 47, we're gonna have to really start looking at those closer and try and get them commercially full instead of residentially full.
Most of them are not in the village. When they get annexed, that's when you have control over the zone.
All right. So are there any communities out there that you guys have visited or have seen and you look at them and go, gosh, hey, relative to Huntley, there's some pretty cool things going on in those communities. Any communities that you look to where you go, I like what they're doing?
I like downtown Huntley. The little piece of town that they got, they went and redid it.
Yeah.
But they redid it so it all looks uniform. Our downtown, you can just get a permit and, you submit a plan of what you want to do, but there's going to be no continuity when that's done. Everyone's going to look different, completely different. Where Huntley was just redone, I think last year, the year before,
Yeah.
and it looks like an original old town, new. And that's my fear here is everybody's going to get different face fronts, different awnings, and it's going to be new, but it's going to look all different, and people are going to drive through here.
Fronts don't all look the same though. It comes together. They're not similar in color, it's a style.
No, but it all blends
They're
together.
just modern. I mean,
Yeah.
They're cleaned up, they're fixed up.
Ours are going to look totally.
I just think, when the bank is done, it's gonna be different than everything else, but it's gonna be a nice build. I think there's a site improvement concept is working for us.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want everything to look alike, it'll just look like a strip mall.
I'd like, if you're asking, so you're asking what communities, local communities, would we like some of the new areas to resemble or look like or model like?
It could be a community you visited, it could be around the country. You could say, I like, Charlevoix, Michigan, or I like Galena, or I just want to get a sense for, other places you've looked and said, gosh, there's some good things going on there.
The wharf.
For like the local, I don't know. For like the local towns, I like the downtown Geneva, St. Charles area. What is that, Third Street, I think, down Geneva?
Yes.
All the different restaurants and the French market on Sundays, the French farmers market, and they do an art fair down there. I think that looks kind of neat because they're all independent owned businesses. They're not chains that you're seeing out there. And people seem to go there, like it's a destination that people go to, which I find interesting, right? People aren't there to do daily shopping. Yeah, I personally like that.
Algonquin has done a streetscape recently. I don't know if you guys have been through Algonquin lately, but
Nice.
Algonquin is a nice area downtown that I think ours is going to end up looking somewhat like what we're down, streetscape, same architect.
Rochester, Michigan. It's kind of a neat, has a really kind of a neat downtown area. It's kind of that modern, but it's got a lot of like history feel to it. And one of the neat things they do at Christmas time is that if you could look, Google it, it's Rochester, Michigan Christmas. Every store has got like lights that they do the whole thing. So it's like a wall of one color and the next store does a wall of another color and stuff. And just the downtown at Christmas is something really unique. But even going there in the summertime, that downtown is kind of neat.
I like, outside of the state, down in Nashville, I like their Germantown neighborhood and 12 South neighborhoods.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we should probably, I don't know those. I'd feel more comfortable after we visited them.
Where do you wanna go? Let's go.
Get the company jet out here.
I knew
Well,
that.
in Nashville, there's no more music, nor is there any bourbon, and all the Waffle Houses are closing. So I don't think there's any reason to go.
Oh, thanks.
The only time if all those Waffle Houses are closing, then the world is over and it's Armageddon, so we should just pack it up.
Right. Yeah, agreed. So, okay, Rochester, Michigan, Germantown outside of Nashville, Geneva, St. Charles, Algonquin is a good one, downtown Huntley. Any others that come to mind?
I don't know, East Dundee's kind of a neat thing
Yeah, it is.
downtown as well.
Yeah,
That's changed, that's local.
what about Lake Geneva?
That's too touristy. Yeah, I don't like
Lake
it.
Geneva in the 70s was awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Now it's all.
one business was really cool up there.
I went to that.
I've
You're talking
been-
about, wait, Lake Geneva, you're not talking about Chuck's, that's Delavan.
No, I was talking about the Playboy Club that used to be up there.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I think I went there when I was 19 because it was I could go up there and drink, but I didn't know what to do when I went in.
Yeah, we were 18, we had cards,
Did you go to the Playboy Club?
a lot.
Yeah.
I had a car.
Learn something new.
All right,
We get out
okay.
there.
Yeah, we went.
Final
Notice,
question.
I'd like to make sure we have noted as a community, if you can Google the pictures of it, but the downtown Sonoma Square in Sonoma, California.
Yeah.
That is where businesses flank around it. They've got a little bed and breakfast or restaurants or shops. And people like sit out and
Didn't say Sedona.
Sonoma. People sit out in the park and they enjoy lunch and just relax.
Yeah, that's what we need here. We need a good winery. Somebody to grow some grapes.
Yes,
One of these farmers.
Yeah.
Linda keeps telling me there's one on 15.
yeah, we need a winery here.
Yeah, there's maybe
Yeah.
people park, but I don't know if it's a good winery.
Right, okay, yeah, so downtown Sonoma, been there, yes, agree with you. It's a great little, it's got a nice little vibe to it. Okay, so last question is, are there any other opportunities that you guys see that we haven't yet discussed, or you want to repeat or emphasize again before we part?
I mean,
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when
You're
you're
freezing
looking
up there.
when
What?
you're looking at colors and stuff, the only last thing I would say, I'm not saying copy them or do the same thing, but we did talk about earlier, the close connection of the community to the schools. And the fact the schools are good. All of the schools in New Hampshire, both elementary, the middle school and the high school have the same color schemes.
Gold.
Purple and
Purple
white.
and white.
How dare you?
Whipper.
And we have one snowplow that's purple and white now, so we're on our way.
No,
each.
we have one that's purple and one that's
That's
white.
white counts too, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm not saying those are the colors we need to go with, but that is like, if you were to look at an example of a unified brand, because that's not District 300 colors,
No, that's Hampshire.
that's Hampshire's colors.
Yeah, District 300's colors are white and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we should have some kind of respect for the purple, I suppose, as they call
Yeah,
it.
I think it's a big part of the village.
Yeah, well, and considering, you know, all of our water towers are white and purple, but yet our brand, our logo and everything is maroon. So when we just paid to have all the water towers, the last water tower and all the other ones are all white and purple.
On the one that just said here.
We'd be wearing, Village of Hampshire shirts, but nobody could agree on color
Or logo.
or logo.
That's why you're here, just to tell us, you don't get a choice, this is what it is.
Yeah. So this way, when you say this looks good on a shirt, we can tell them it looks good on a shirt.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. We'll do that. So, okay, good. Well, thank you guys. Great input. Very
Thank
much
you.
appreciated.
Hopefully we didn't bore you too bad.
Not at all. Thank you for taking so much time. We appreciate it. I know it's 10 to 8 and you probably have some other business. So if you need us to stay, we will. Otherwise, we'll take our leave.
No, we're gonna go over.
We don't like to torture anybody, you're welcome to leave.
Oh.
All right.
Click off.
Have a good
All right.
night.
But make sure you guys do the public safety report. I need to make sure that the public is safe.
Okay. We all have guns. We're safe.
See you guys. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
This is being recorded.
I was just gonna say, I can't post this online.
Why not?
No, I won't.
We all have guns, we're safe.
So
We get used to it though. Good. I don't need to have reasons for more FOIA requests coming. I'm a dick for it.
So the next thing on our agenda is just the census. I put there's more of a placeholder than anything else. You said you were getting some,
Have we got new numbers?
What was the number today? Did we cross 73?
73.7.
We finally got above 73, and I think it's because of those two green banners that we put up.
I'm telling you,
thank
you
you,
got,
Toby.
and you know what? I don't know how expensive they are. But when is this due? This is due
September
October,
31st.
Yeah. Now, did you see
September
the-
31st.
Have you seen the thermostat that went up yesterday?
Or not?
It's actually on, it's supposed to be on, where am I pointing? Okay, it's so confusing.
I know.
My office, I'm fine. At, the park.
Head back, yeah.
Head back.
Park. But actually, Dave was a little more clever. He put it right on 72 on just hung it on a, comment pole until they complained. We didn't want to have to do a Julie locate with stakes in the ground.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thermometer. That thing costs about $300, but the other banners were like, I don't know, $100 or less a piece.
Okay, so my question is, why don't we, right now, decide on a couple more banners with different colors and change the color scheme? Because I understand that. On marketing on my end, on the roads, you're driving by, you see those orange signs, you don't read them. You'll never read them. After 2 or 3 weeks, they won't even look at that no more. It'll just be another piece of tree or garbage alongside the road. We need to change the color, to get more and more people to look at it because it's something different.
Yeah.
So we need to change.
It's the only thing I can think of that's different in the last week, and our number jumped 1.2 from 72.4 to 73.7.
So half of that might have been the color.
We posted some stuff on social media, but I'm betting it was the screen.
We have a report from the census team on if they've sent people around and
Well, they
Yes.
have.
All we know is they were supposed to start September 1st.
Well, I know that they came because they came to my place and I know that I read on social media that they were in Tuscany Woods and that if you didn't want any part of it, you shouldn't answer your door, to which I.
Yeah, I was answering, I was typing when you answered.
I was like, that's the dumbest thing you guys can do.
So my question is, if the banners are $100 and we have 2 of them, right? One at one end, each end, why don't we go really bold and do like, you know,
Yellow.
green, all solid green
They are green.
with,
I mean, I talked about fluorescent green, but the printer talked me, not the printer, the guy who does the sign stuff.
Mike Armato.
Yeah, he talked me out.
So here's what you do. Tell him you want fluorescent yellow and Toby said that he wants it that color.
That's exactly what I told him.
Oh, you said Toby?
He talked me out, he talked me out of it because he said the print doesn't work well on the
Well,
fluorescent, but
so
that's
then-
pretty bright green, isn't
So then let's do, red and white or orange and black.
it? So you're saying just rotate them every couple of weeks?
Uh-huh.
And we can move them around, we can take these and put them in another location, so there's.
Can,
It catches people's eyes on the road.
that thermometer, can we get a good picture of it hung? I'll go after here if it's light and I'll see if I can get a picture
By
of it.
the way, it's set right now, it has the red thermometer going up, it's at 72.2 or something like that. We have little red squares that we can add as we grow.
So can we take a picture of it now?
Yeah.
And then take a picture of it at the higher number?
Well, I think what you should do is take a picture of it and challenge everybody on Facebook, let's get this number up to 85.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well,
So assuming it's light out, I'll take a picture, I'll start.
Can we do a,
Can somebody take a picture of that tomorrow and send it to me so I can post it? I know that you've got bigger things to do, but
I can do it in the morning.
just because I'm not gonna be able to do it.
and I know we can do social posts, but to your point with banners, it just becomes noise after a while, the same thing. Can we do, I know we
If
talked
you
about
change the
it,
color, it catches their eye.
can we do an off-cycle mailing and actually just do the postage and mail all residential addresses?
That's your.
I think that we should and include information about the phone number.
Don't you think it's a waste of money?
Why?
73% of the people have already registered, so we're gonna waste 73% of mailing,
Unless you tell me which houses to
You do
target.
know that the mailing's going in out with the bills this week, right?
Oh, it does, that's
Yeah.
this week.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was October for some reason.
No, that's going out this week.
Oh, then never
That's
mind.
separate
Then we're covered on
water
that one,
bills, yeah.
Then we're covered on.
But Aaron, to your point, changing the colors of the signs, it catches their eyes
The,
and location.
The only other thing I thought of, because they did it in Hampshire, we could have a census parade. But I don't know that, I don't know if that, you guys were too thrilled about the last time.
no, I think we could do it. I think we could do it. And I actually asked Nate if he'd be willing to put it together because he did it with, and he said he was willing to do that. We were wanting to do it because the deadline originally was October 31st. We were wanting to do it like in the middle of October and then tie it into Halloween to get kids involved and all this other stuff. Now you're gonna do a census, we could do a census parade, but who are we gonna get to do it? We're gonna have all the village works trucks,
I mean, I think one thing that kind of slips, it didn't occur to me until recently, is none of these other taxing districts care about the census because they're all property tax based.
Right.
So none of them have income tax or gas tax or anything like that that is.
Such other communities.
All the other
Like the
organizations.
park district.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna enlist, like, the library agreed to send out an email for us because they have a good email list that we're.
Can we get the park district to send out an email?
They would
Can you
agree
talk to their board member tonight, if you're. on
Well,
the term?
if he answers his phone.
No, I meant.
It doesn't speak.
Oh,
What's that?
I have no comment.
what do you say?
I didn't hear it either.
What we,
Nothing.
I don't think he answered his phone, ever.
Some about the park district, I was gonna ask a question, but I don't want to.
Well, I was just saying if they could email their distribution list.
Yeah,
It takes like 2 seconds.
but you
We
need
got a
somebody
webinar
that's,
on how to
you
do
need, no, you need somebody that's pretty aggressive to get the leaders to do that.
I can call Laura and I don't think it would take board action to send out an email. She'll do that for you. You guys just have to tell me what you want to send, give me something to give her to send out.
You have to be extremely firm.
can we
Laura's real good.
draft something from our perspective?
I'm not
and
just executive, I'll work with her.
But you got that bottle there.
Phone number that you can call.
She's been very responsive
way.
whenever I've asked her.
Well, I guess if they're getting an email, it doesn't mean it's blocked. It's already on the computer.
You're gonna link to it.
But, well, I think that maybe we could draft something with some kind of language to the fact that, there's a lot of people in town that don't have access to the computer. So if there's somebody that you know in town that doesn't, please share this information and please share how crucial it
You
is.
might be surprised, there might be a lot of younger couples that both work, drop their kids off at school, go to work, come home, by the time they get their kids fed and bathed and everything, haven't registered yet.
Well, we have,
Why do you suppose that Pingree Grove and Huntley are both at 85%, we're at 73? Are they doing?
Huntley, I can
Is it
see.
the population?
Huntley, I can see Pingree, they're cooking the numbers.
well, I think that we have a higher population of elderly in our town than they do in Pingree.
But not in Huntley.
And so, well, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know, I
And I
can't
think
speak
there's, I
on
think there's 6,000 residents just in Sun City.
Yeah, but,
And I still haven't done my census because
40.
we're not getting money. We're not getting money.
4,500 of those are active.
Ag means still moving.
Yeah.
Well, there's only, let's see, there's 28 homes in my little clique, they call it. And there've been 3 deaths since I lived there.
Keep your eye out for any used car, some used car.
There's always somebody in Huntley, I mean,
I know.
they're always looking for used cars for their kids and grandkids in Sun City.
Because one of the guys that worked for me, the last 3 he bought was from out there.
I'd like a big old Cadillac.
So I told my son, just sit over across the street, at the gas
Just
station.
watch for the old ladies.
No, follow,
Follow the ambulance.
you got it. Follow the ambulance, write the address down, go back a week later.
Well, I sit here and watch the lot next door, wherever that is, and I saw a what looked like a brand new, you see my car, it looks like it's brand new, it's a 2014, it had 28,000 miles on it. So it was a 1 car owner, bought it here and then brought it back and traded it in 6 years later.
They have a whole news article on their website at Pingree Grove about the census, a video on it, what to expect in the mail, steps that they created.
Yeah, they stole it from the census website.
Doesn't matter, they still put it on their website.
Yeah, that's.
We don't have nothing like that?
No,
No.
we've got census information and how to fill it out, but that's about it. They look like they can do more with their CMS than we can, for sure. I can tell just by the way they look.
Huntley has their sign right near Main Street there, where you're talking about.
Well, we asked-
That's always.
We asked Jeannie about that sign, and the last time I drove by it, it was like, have your business involved with the chamber. I've never seen anything about this.
She
She
said
said
that,
we could use it, she was just kind of kidding, like, I don't want to go out there and change the number.
no, she said, no, with her last comment to us, that was part of the joke. Her last comment was, is after the golf outing, we can do whatever we wanted on the site.
Yeah.
So we should have that changed.
The golf outing was what, last week? so-
Can you add something on the website about census?
Yeah, we can put it back up there. We don't get enough traffic, but I think it's gonna make a difference, but we certainly can put it up there.
10 people, some people.
Yeah, no, I'm with
How
you.
about on the community?
Yeah, that's what I meant on the community.
Well, we've posted, well, we can certainly come up with, that's why I think we come up with a Facebook post or something, and we can look it back if you want, and then we can share it.
I
But the
mean,
problem is it's not negative, so it's not gonna get any traction. So if we did something negative or something that they get mad at, then we get a lot of comments, and a lot of people read it. But if you're asking for something like that, that's important, then it's not gonna be, and that's a little cynical, but it's true.
You could set up the controversy, you could post something, have somebody argue about it, and you could argue.
Well,
about it.
and I-
Mike, you look at it a different
So,
way.
but-
You could post Huntley's at 88, Pingree's at 87, 86, whatever. Hampshire's at
Yeah,
73. Get your neighbors to get out and get the census filled online. So we don't want to lose the Pingrees.
It's,
We don't want to lose the
it's
Pingrees.
hard to find. Actually, I find it pretty easy to find. It's easier to find on my phone than it is on a computer, though.
So,
I'll send you the link.
response rates.
Yeah,
Or Pingree's kicking our butt.
well, and I think that
actually, it's a self-response rate. So you're looking at.
I'm
Top
concerned.
5 states, Idaho, 97%.
Yeah, I read that.
They just voted on all their COVID restrictions today.
They're spiking out there too, because my daughter's in the ER in a lot of cases.
Keep having this up, and I keep losing.
Trying to drop that many where you can choose.
Well,
State
if,
of Illinois,
Oh.
State of Illinois is only at 65% statewide.
downstate, it's bad, isn't it?
I don't know.
You talk about creating controversy, not creating controversy, but whatever terminology.
The only controversy you can create would be the fact that Pingree Grove is kicking our butt right now.
Well, we can certainly do that, but we can also, I think that it's also important to note that it's not, there are no residency questions, no citizenship questions as a part of this.
Well, but there's only like 0.5% out there. that care about it.
It's a way to get people talking online.
That's true.
I mean, and
Hampshire's
that's,
at 73.7.
Pardon me?
Hampshire's at 73.7.
Right.
And
Which is a
Illinois is
100%.
69.8.
We were stuck at 72 for like 2-3 months.
I wonder if that's a lag in their reporting, because you can't tell me that the people aren't.
Yeah, Finger Grove's at 82.
There's your controversy. Finger Grove is beating Hampshire in
And
the
as soon
census
as
count.
something comes back to some, dumbass remark that who gives a, who cares about this, why should we bother? Smart government, then you guys can dive in with a positive response, like money, that's where we derive our motor fuel taxes from census, income taxes from census. Those are the only two.
I think that we need to,
Holly's almost at 90%.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money?
I guarantee you, Del Webb's probably at 98%.
How well they're doing.
Algonquin's at 85.
My point is that if we say
Well,
75%.
Somebody has to take time to look at their websites.
This team has to
$12,000 is what they get.
this town.
I'll just be able to give you a ballpark.
This town what?
We're losing to Carpentersville.
well, can we work together on posts that would stir stuff up online?
Yeah.
Not negative. I'm not looking to be negative. I'm looking to put the right wording in there to get people talking about it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Because you bring in Pingree, that's a win to your point. Bringing citizen residency,
Is the Village of Hampshire a member of the Hampshire Community Network?
100%. So we can post as the village and
Yeah,
not
so that's what we
us.
should do.
Yeah,
Um,
because I don't want to post as an individual that.
Now, that being said, all things being equal, 75% is the second highest bracket that the census has as far as completion rate. So it's not like we're horrible. We just need to do a lot better. And I still go back to my question. Okay, if they know that 75.3% are complete, how are they calculating?
That's in Hampshire, 75.
No, that's Carpentersville.
Well, that's what I don't
How
understand.
do they know that 75.3% are complete? Wouldn't that tell them what 100 is?
And on their
That's a
website,
fair question.
isn't there a way?
Probably not.
to change the numbers you're looking at? Like,
Unless it's 70. let me see.
Now with the amount of people moving in and moving out,
Maybe it's that percentage of our last census count.
Yeah, and they're not real clear on their numbers.
Plus, they have to have every address in town or else that's where they're mailing everything to. That's what it is.
Because
That's what it is, Aaron. Somewhere they got a mailing list for Hampshire. We don't know where it came from. But all of those, that's the response rate, all the envelopes they mail to some number of Hampshire addresses.
Okay, so what is included in the denominator? Housing units, self-response, enumeration areas, formerly known as mail out or mail back, that have mailable addresses and all housing units in update lead enumeration areas.
Jake, could we do something, like, real estate signs, that size?
So that's not people, that's houses that.
Like a campaign sign.
Census, it's our money. And order a dozen of them and put 6 or 8 of them
Yeah,
up down
we have
Jake,
all that public.
up down Jake Lane.
And down State Street.
The other thing is we could just have a couple hundred of them printed and have everybody put it in their front yard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You guys have done political campaign signs, what do they cost?
I ordered 300, it cost me $250.
Yeah, it was the sign and the little metal frame.
Yes.
It comes all built, I think, doesn't it?
No, it comes in a separate box with the H metal and the signs in separate.
Somebody offered, when we were doing the veterans thing for Memorial Day, somebody offered to donate, give us a couple hundred of those. Christine or Jeff or somebody has.
Yeah, Christine didn't have them. She wrote a check in cash.
Where do you buy those from?
what, the H cards?
Yeah, Mike.
A lot of times you get them with the signs.
Well, I mean, where do you order those? Where did you buy yours?
Well, I got mine from Mike Armato back in the day, but,
Mine's been awfully good to work with.
but I know,
The big sign companies that crank those out by the millions, they'll give you a price to blow our model out of the water.
well, no, and I know a lady that,
I'll get you the number.
Matt's wife makes the signs. She works for a company out of Utah. She does, promotional items
Do you
and
think
stuff.
we could find people to take them? Like if we left them in blocks or somewhere and said, take one of these home with you?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think we post on the community network. We have signs to help promote the census. Is anybody, can we drop some off or put them in anybody's yards? Please let us know. That'll get us probably 50 to 100.
We could do a form on our SharePoint and make it public that they can put in their address. And then it would go to a spreadsheet, and all we'd have to do.
Yeah.
Members do we have on the network?
It's over 6,000.
Is it really?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't live.
Yeah,
But,
and a
so,
few of the troublemakers don't live here.
9.4 thousand members.
and as far as the village, like, actual village Facebook page, we've got 3,600, almost 3,700 people. There's a distinction, right? So our business page is
So
3,600.
number of visits would be a huge difference.
Yeah, well, I mean, the average traction of any post, I mean, you see, I don't know, 1,200.
You're the page admin, right? Yes, so go to insights at the top. So there you go.
Yeah, so the average,
See, you can change, but this is for the last 7 days. You've got 120 page views.
On our website.
on our village
Which can
Facebook
go to
page.
the community. You should be able to see the same thing. They haven't switched you over yet.
Before I keep going back, I don't want.
Yeah, we can get some of those.
Aren't you the admin of this too? Go to the top.
There's no, it's not a business page, it's a group.
You should still get,
What would you put on it? Big census? Fill it out, it's our money or something?
As I say, big dollar sign, people need to know it's money, means money to us. I think the signs we have out there say that pretty well. Can't remember
Yes, yeah.
exactly what it says, but
I've driven by them so many times, I don't pay attention to them.
No reason, follow you in your group.
so go to see more on the left.
Okay, Mike, are we still doing census?
So, motion to adjourn.
No, I got new business and other announcements.
Oh, did you have any new business or other announcements?
No.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make your motion.
No. Second.
The meeting is now ended.
No, you're gonna call a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?